Out of all the secrets hidden in the Warhammer 40k universe, there's one that stands above the rest, and it's not how they use toilets and power armor. I'm talking about the mystery of the missing Primarchs. So a long time ago before the Imperium we know today, the Emperor of Mankind, Mr. Godlike figure on a super space toilet, gave his 20 sons the task of leading humanity to the stars. Each son was meant to build a lasting legacy, but 2 of them suddenly gone. I'm talking erased from history faster than you can say, "Holy crap, dude, I just died. Make sure you delete my browser history before my wife finds it and my family has questions about what I do on Saturdays." In other words, pretty fast. So the big question is, why were they removed from history? And what would happen if these missing Primarchs are never found again? Okay, I guess that's 2 questions, but friggin' sue me. Anyway, the consequences would be catastrophic and humanity would certainly be doomed. But why? The story of the missing 2nd and 11th Primarchs, and I'm really sick of Roman numerals. Why can't they just be normal like other games and RPGs? Anyway, has long been one of the most intriguing gaps in the history of the Imperium. While a lot of accounts from the Warhammer 40k universe are filled with grand tales of heroism and tragedy, the absence of these 2 figures leaves us with more questions than answers. Why were their names erased from history, and what implications does this have on the broader narrative of the Emperor's grand frickin' design? Okay, here we go. The mystery of the missing Primarchs starts with the timeline itself. In 821 M30 and 927 M30, records showed that these 2 Primarchs were rediscovered, but the Imperial archives are almost useless. They give us only fragmented scraps of information, as if somebody was trying really hard to hide the full story. When Corvus Corax, the Raven Lord, asked the Emperor why he was the 19th Primarch, the Emperor gave an oddly vague response.
"The other 2, that's a conversation for a different day."
Yeah, useless. It's almost like he was brushing the question off, but in reality, this response tells us a lot. The Emperor didn't just forget about them, he didn't want anybody to know who they were. Now, his silence wasn't a mistake, it was a deliberate choice, hiding something much deeper than we're likely to ever understand. Okay, super nerds, we all know that a key moment in unraveling this mystery of the missing Primarchs comes with the Edict Obliteration declared in 963 M30. This wasn't just a casual oversight, it was a calculated decision to completely erase the 2nd and 11th Legions from all Imperial records. The Emperor didn't just forget about them, he made sure that they were wiped from existence. Now this raises an important question. What kind of a threat did these 2 Primarchs pose that required such a drastic and extreme measure? Were they truly so flawed that their existence could have torn apart the Imperium? Or was there something more to their story that we're not being told? Alright, one of the most common theories about the disappearance of the 2nd and 11th Primarchs is that they were genetically flawed. The Emperor, who had complete control over the genetics of his sons, likely designed each Primarch to embody specific traits that would help lead humanity in the direction he envisioned for the Imperium. But there was something about the genetic makeup of the 2nd and 11th that made them fundamentally incompatible with the Emperor's ideal. Now, their flaw wasn't just a physical imperfection or moral failure, it was something deeper, a flaw that went to the very core of their being. It was so severe, this hypothesis posits, that the Emperor felt there was no way to integrate them into his perfect vision for humanity's future, not that that ended any way he expected it to. This theory makes sense when you consider the Emperor's overall goal, a flawless Imperium, a perfect future for humanity. Any deviation for this, especially from his own creations, was seen as a serious threat to his grand plan. But here's the real question. What exactly was it about these 2 Primarchs that made them so dangerous? What was so deeply wrong with them that the Emperor couldn't allow their presence in a universe already full of imperfection and chaos? I don't know, maybe they had the looks of Sylvester Stallone and they sounded like Ben Stiller. Okay, another area of speculation involves Leman Russ, the Emperor's executioner. Russ was the one sent to deal with some of the most dangerous figures in the Imperium, like, Horus, Magnus, and Angren. Now, some theories suggest that Russ may have also been tasked with the grim responsibility of eliminating the 2nd and 11th Primarchs. While this is still speculative, it's an intriguing idea, especially when you consider the roles that each Primarch played in the Emperor's grand strategy. If Rus didn't have a hand in their destruction, it would suggest that their eradication wasn't just a decision made in haste, it was part of a larger plan to protect the Imperium's stability. Now, this would further reinforce the notion that these two Primarchs weren't just flawed in the conventional sense, but that their very existence posed a unique, unseen threat to the Emperor's vision. Then, their death wasn't a side note, it was a necessary act to ensure the survival of the Imperium as the Emperor had envisioned it, sans the whole golden space toilet. A particularly intriguing theory about the aftermath of these Primarchs' disappearance involves the Ultramarines.
The Ultramarines, known for their strict discipline and exceptional organizational skills,
Might have absorbed the gene seed of the missing legions after their erasure. Now, this theory does raise a couple of key questions. Could the sudden increase in both the size and genetic diversity of the Ultramarines be tied to the blending of these lost legions' gene seeds? On top of that, if it's true, what does it say about the Emperor's methods for handling inconvenient parts of history? I mean, that's just like blending everything together and hoping to, that it comes out better than it was before. Anyway, this theory suggests that the Emperor, ever the pragmatist, would have seen the Ultramarines as the perfect candidates to inherit the genetic legacy of the 2nd and 11th Legions. So instead of letting the gene seed of his lost sons go to waste, he might have decided to recycle them, blending their genetic traits into the Ultramarines for his own purpose. Now, this would technically explain the rapid growth of the Ultramarines during this time, an expansion that appeared natural on the surface, but had deeper, more significant genetic consequences. It's almost as if the Emperor, with surgical precision mind you, integrated these lost sons into the heart of the Imperium's might. He erased their individual legacies, their names, their stories, sacrificing them in favor of a singular, perfect legion. The end result? A unified force, a perfect army, and a history that, for the Emperor, was much easier to control. So, what does all of this tell us about the Emperor's ideals and his vision for the Imperium? Well, the deliberate erasure of the Primarchs reveals a lot about his approach to perfection. The Emperor, with his vast intellect and foresight, wasn't just trying to create powerful warriors, he was trying to create a perfect legacy, one where every aspect of his creation, from the genetic makeup of his sons to the historical records of their deeds, was flawless. For him, any imperfection, even in his own creations, couldn't be allowed to exist. Man, 2 and 11 and their legions weren't just erased, they were excised from history entirely. This wasn't a mere act of hiding mistakes, it was a fundamental effort to control every little detail to ensure that his vision for the Imperium remained untouched and unblemished. In the context of the Warhammer 40k lore, this raises a difficult question. How much control can even a being as powerful as the Emperor truly have over fate? Think about it. Despite his intellect, his designs, and his overwhelming power, he still had to contend with the unpredictability of his creations. So these Primarchs, in their very existence, were a reminder that even the Emperor's perfect plans could fail. Yeah, they were a failure so profound that it didn't just result in their destruction, it led to the obliteration of their memory. The Emperor's need for control over every aspect of his world wasn't just a matter of preference, it became a survival mechanism. His ultimate creation, the Imperium, was supposed to be a monument to perfection, and anything that threatened that vision had to be erased, no matter the cost. So, while the mystery of these Primarchs may never be fully unraveled, the theories surrounding their disappearances offer a fascinating lens through which we can explore broader themes like perfection, control, and the limitations of the Emperor's vision. If anything, these lost sons really serve as a challenge to our understanding of the Emperor's grand design, highlighting the tension between his ideal of a flawless future and the unavoidable imperfections of his creations. Theories continue to flourish, and the enigma of these Primarchs will likely remain a captivating subject for scholars and fans for years to come. So in the end, I guess the question lingers longer than noxious fumes from Taco Tuesday. Were the 2nd and 11th Primarchs erased for the greater good of the Imperium? Or was their elimination a product of the Emperor's overwhelming obsession with perfection? An act of hubris by a being who couldn't tolerate even the smallest deviation from his ideal? Well, the mystery, like many in the Warhammer 40k universe, remains shrouded in uncertainty, offering no easy answers, only more questions, and perhaps that's part of what makes it so compelling in the first place. So, what are your thoughts on the two lost Primarchs? Drop a comment below and share your theories. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth videos like this one, and we'll see you soon.